Speaking of, this is like something that's like kind of related, but not really. I'm just gonna rant for like 2 seconds, right? So, so I've been playing DNF Duel. Is a new game that just came out, and I actually only picked it up because my character that I'm playing, the main character I'm playing, is voiced by Ayferuz. And if you don't know who Ayferuz is the voice actor for Jolene in the latest JoJo's. And she is half Egyptian and half Japanese. What's her name? Hibiki. There you go. So she played Hibiki in How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift. And I watched that partly because it's a pretty interesting way to put, it's a pretty fun way to, like, it was a pretty fun anime. It's a little bit indulgent, but it's pretty fun. It's a little bit, like, little etchy, but not really. But I learned that Stryker was actually also voiced by Ayferuz. And personally, not like full disclosure, I was just pretty interested in the idea that there's, you know, a half Arabic person who's a voice acting in Japan. I think that's freaking awesome. And she also got to voice act one of her favorite characters in Jolene. And so I've been a pretty darn big fan of her because I think she's a really, really good voice actor. But also, she's voicing the character that I wanted. So I bought DNF Duel. Anyway, long way to getting to what I want to say, which is I think it's insane that people have already started doing 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 for the game, which is just 3 out of 5 games instead of 2 out of 3, because so there's already a method in which we reduce randomization in tournaments. It's called double elimination, right? So you can lose twice in a tournament in order to negate the amount of randomness that a tournament has. Sports almost unanimously don't have this, right? Sports usually push towards playing more games instead of having a double elimination set. Video games have this middle ground where it's sets plus double elimination. So the general basis for fighting games is a 2 out of 3 set plus a double elimination bracket in order to create the least amount of randomness. However, I feel like people recently have forgotten that the double elimination is actually the method in which we reduce randomization. It's not 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 is the way we decide that the amount of interactions in a certain set are necessary to determine a victor. So the reason why we decided on 2 out of 3 for most games is because we feel like most games allow for this many interactions in order to determine a victor. It is not a way to reduce randomization. Now, it technically is because it allows for more games, but statistics have shown that the change of randomization from 2 out of 3 to 3 out of 5 is very minimal, within a single-digit %. So it's one of those things where it's like Marvel 3, which is the main example for this. Marvel 3 took a year to get to that spot. Maybe 6 months if I remember correctly, but like almost certainly throughout vanilla. And then we get to now, and it's like anytime people feel like there's high damage in a game, they're just like, okay, we got to make it 3 out of 5. When that's not the case. High damage doesn't necessarily mean less interactions. It means that there might be bigger punishes, but not necessarily less interactions. Now, if your argument is like, for that game, Swiftmaster, there's a different problem there. Swiftmaster's broken. But I think that pushing to 3 out of 5 is too early. It might happen in the future. Don't get me wrong. The game might break down. The game might be a 2-touch game. In that which I feel like maybe you do need 6 interactions in order to decide a victor. I can understand that. But right now, it is one of those things that has just lost its meaning because of time. That's it. Because everybody got used to 2 out of 3 double elimination, and because they feel like a game is volatile, they're like, okay, well, we can't have it like this. It needs to be 3 out of 5 sort of thing. 3 out of 5. The amount of games that it takes to win a set should be decided on how many interactions it takes in order to define a clear victor. And double elimination should reduce the randomness in overall tournaments. So tournaments across the board, not a single tournament. So like double elimination only matters if we're considering every single tournament. If we're doing one singular tournament, it doesn't matter. That's why SBO was ran like single elim, because it didn't matter. SBO was about SBO, and that's it. There's no tournament series or anything like that. Yeah, you qualified for SBO, but like there's no series. You qualified for SBO, you played in SBO. That's it. That's why sports don't have double elimination. Sports don't have double elimination because you qualify for the tournament has sets, and then you're done. They've decided that that's enough. That's enough to determine a clear victor each and every year. And fact of the matter is that there are sports like NFL, which statistics have said that like pretty much in the NFL, about 60-ish% of the time, the best team in the NFL wins. 60%. So 4 out of 10 Super Bowls do not have the best team in the NFL win. And this is decided by a bunch of stats, obviously. For NBA, it's a little bit higher. It's around 72 to 75%. For football, for soccer, for UEFA, it's around 78 to 80%. Like every now and then, there is a winner that is not the best team in Europe. That might be okay still. That might be okay still, because entertainment value wise, an underdog is a good thing, and having people you win who you don't expect is a good thing. You love a story where a team wins when you feel like they shouldn't have. You can watch a game and anything can happen. That is an important aspect of sports and competition in general, because if the outcome is decided almost like before the game starts, then it's boring. You want a little bit of luck in any single game. That is important for the entertainment value of any competition. If you were to say that the best player of any game won every single game, that would be a very, very boring thing to watch. And I have an example for that as well. Early season 1, Tekken 7, many people got really, really bored. PCR and hold on, I'm gonna look this up because I'm so stupid. Saint was his name. Saint and JDCR. Okay, thank you. So real quick, sorry, I'll get started in a second. This went way longer than I expected. So Saint and JDCR were one of the first set of Koreans to constantly travel throughout the United States for tournaments. They won almost anything. We just got the console version, right? So we're a year into the console version. JDCR and Nee just killing people. People were getting really bored of watching JDCR versus Nee. Or sorry, JDCR versus Saint. I wasn't, because I was really new to the game. So every time I watched them, I was watching high level play and I was learning from it. But people who had understood Tekken were getting really, really bored of watching these two play until Qudans shows up. And Qudans, Phoenix from the Ashes, old school legend, comes in, just finished. I think it was that he finished his mandatory enlisting in Korea. And he came back out of the army and he started playing Tekken again. And man, there's this story of this dude who comes in out of left field. He goes to like the last few tournaments before Tekken World Tour finals. He beats Saint, he beats JDCR, he wins this thing. It's a wonderful fucking story. It is legitimately like, this is shit that I'd make a movie about. This is one of the best stories in fighting games ever. And it was because this dude came out of left field, an underdog story came around, and it made a great story because there were these two that were dominating the game, and all of a sudden, this dude shows up out of nowhere. He's putting the brakes on JDCR and Saint, and all of a sudden, the story shifts. When you get stuff like that in video games, and in sports as well, you get really, really good stories. And that's why stuff like you don't need to kill the randomization in fighting games per tournament. Have a little bit of luck in your game. It makes it very exciting. Now, for competitors, they will freaking hate what I just said, because they want a determined outcome every single time, and they want it to be completely based on their own skill. But to a degree, that is still possible. You just have to be that much better than everybody else. Every sport, every competition, esports and regular sports as well, need this sort. It is imperative to making your competition watchable. I mean that wholeheartedly. Okay, it was only 3 minutes after I said I'll start in just a second. Sorry for the rant. I actually meant that to be like a 2-minute rant. And then it went off into the history of Tekken 7. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a good Tuesday. How's it going, Sign? I don't know if I said hi to you because my brain's just mush at this point.